I was originally going to review a different Dreamcast game, but I couldn't get the emulation working, so I settled on Charge & Blast, which I only tried a couple minutes when I first purchased it in a bundle with several other games back a few years ago. I was quick to dismiss it then because, well, look at it. You only move side to side, so in an age where everything is open world, it isn't easy to pick up and play with modern sensibilities. Back in 2001, however, games were different. You had much more variety. The Sega Dreamcast was becoming known for being the arcade killer. That seemed like it was Sega's goal in the 90s, despite being in arcade games production themselves. The Genesis had plenty of arcade-to-home ports like Golden Axe, and the Saturn was a 2D sprite powerhouse, boasting lots of great arcade ports that never left Japan. However, 3D arcade action wasn't fully realized until the Dreamcast. It was at this point we were getting uncompromised ports where very little was being sacrificed to make a game look and feel on par with the arcades. Though not the intent, playing arcade-like quality games at home caused a drop in arcade sales because now you didn't need to leave the house to have those type of experiences. The novelty had worn off. In the case of Charge & Blast, it's dressed up like it was an arcade game at one point, but this is the only iteration of the game. No cabinet exists. So right off the bat, that's kind of quirky. Then you hear the voice acting and cutscenes and go, that's quirky as well. Everything about this game is unusual. Heck, even the controls are, well, you get the idea. I took a look at who developed this title, and it all makes sense. Charge & Blast was developed by CSK Research Institute and a company by the name of Sims. They were a joint venture between Sanritsu Denki Company and Sega Enterprises. There it is. The game certainly has that unique Sega feel to it, akin to other titles such as The House of the Dead. Each character has their own set of weapon combinations and control the same, except for how the weapons interact with enemies. To the game's credit, its title is the most direct representation of how the game plays. You charge and blast. Pretty simple. What's not simple is how you do both those things. You use the yellow button to charge your heavy gun, while the green button charges your multi-light guns. The D-pad or analog stick highlights the enemies to fire upon, and the red button fires the weapon you charged. The longer you wait, the heavier damage you unleash to your enemies. It's surprisingly nuanced. It requires skill and timing. Speaking of enemies, they're probably the highlight of Charge & Blast. You have giant lizards, eels, and insects, in addition to kaiju-like monsters like this guy who looks like Godzilla. I only got to level 3, the water level, but with the snapshots I've seen, the enemies get even quirkier. The only things I can honestly say I didn't care for was how the game does not make it clear when an enemy is firing a projectile. Among the chaos of having numerous creatures in the background and foreground who could leap at you at any second, you also have to look out for what they're spitting out at you. This can be especially frustrating when you finally see the projectiles getting close. Your character will not have time to get out of the way. There was also a giant eel-looking enemy that leaps out at you right after the stage begins, which leaves you no time to evade. You just take a cheap hit. That leads to my only other detractor, the difficulty. I found it was easier to get through with enough memory and determination, harnessing the knowledge I had learned moments ago, but there are plenty of cheap hits to go around and so much happening on screen, it can feel overwhelming at times. Especially the farther you get in the game, it certainly feels like an arcade cabinet trying to get your money. Charge & Blast was devoured by critics back at the turn of the millennium. After playing it for half an hour, I felt the game had personality and was more strategic than it let on. After I understood the mechanics, I had quite a bit of fun with it. Since quick arcade experiences are more my speed since becoming a father, it hits just right. It's not terribly expensive for a Dreamcast title and is largely unknown in the greater Dreamcast library. I'd say it's a gem for sure. The controls and mechanics will take some time to get used to, but it's well worth playing. Don't go in expecting a riveting story or award-winning gameplay. It's flawed, cheesy, and quirky. It's Charge and Blast for the Sega Dreamcast.